You know what you're supposed to do, but you just can't. You're not lazy, not that you lack discipline. You're just having a hard time getting past that threshold and pushing yourself to where you need to operate. We're going to talk about that on this episode of Getting to Zero. So we're going to be talking about your will and how you can actually put yourself in a state of self-paralysis. And what do I mean by that? How many times have you willed yourself to do something so much that all of a sudden you no longer can operate and function? I've experienced it many times in my life where you're in an emotional state, you're trying to do things, but you can't even finish doing it anymore. The things that you used to like, you don't like. The things that you used to want to do, you just don't want to do. Waking up is exhausting. Just living everyday life is just difficult. So let me give you a story about how that exact same thing happened to me. I was a bunch of my friends decided we were going to make a movie called The Humankind. And we worked really hard on it. It was a 3-year project. And I was getting so exhausted because as we started the project, we had 30 people interested in helping it. By the end of it, there was only 8. And we had a makeup guy. They backed out. We had a lighting person. They backed out. I ended up alternating between 3 different sound guys. They all backed out. And then who picked up the slack? I did. So even on the video edit, who was the guy who ended up editing the whole thing? I did. So what happened was instead of having all these people, I ended up occupying all of this position of having to finish this thing off. And I promised my friends, I said, hey, we're going to finish this movie. I'm not going to let this thing be unfinished. So fast forward 2.5 years, and we have a film festival lined up. We're going through all the stuff. We're at the final month of edits, trying to get the thing polished up, and I'm doing 23-hour days just to plow through it. I don't even remember what the days looked like. I would work 12 hours at the hospital, and then I would end up working another 11 hours on the video project. Sleep for an hour, get up and do it again. And I did that for about 28 to 30 days. When we finally finished it, I slept for almost 2 days because my body couldn't take it anymore. Well, then a weird thing happened. We sent it in. We had somebody interested in purchasing it. And they're like, hey, we just need you to re-edit a couple things. And I would sit down at the computer to edit, and my body would shut down and be like, nope. I would be physically uncomfortable where I couldn't even sit down behind the computer. The footage I've been working on for years, I now couldn't even look at. And I ended up calling up some friends going, I need help. I can't look at this. And I willed myself even farther to try and do 30 minutes at a time. And it became so difficult. Well, when that project finished, I was done. I didn't want to pick up a camera anymore. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to watch movies anymore. I was done. The TV wasn't even on afterwards. I couldn't take it. Seeing something that reminded me of something that I used to love became poison in my own life. And I just couldn't take it. And I remember having the phone call, calling in my friends going, hey, the movie, I'm happy we did it. I'm never touching a camera again. And as you can tell, I've kind of gotten past that. But it was such a depression that the thing that I loved, the thing that I aspired for, the thing that I pushed myself and willed myself to do became a poison in my own life and became shutting me down. And I realized that I was ignoring so many other parts of my life. In that same process, there was some stuff happening in my family that I just totally ignored. I don't even remember my firstborn son. He was 2 when I started the project. He was 5 when I finished it. I don't remember those 3 years of his life at all. My wife was telling me that I was aloof. If I would have continued that, I definitely would have gotten a divorce, which luckily I haven't. But in that situation, by willing myself to do that because I made a promise to them, I'm going to finish this and I'm not going to let you down, I ended up betraying my own principles and concepts. I betrayed how I operated my life. I ended up betraying my wife, ended up betraying my kids, but I didn't even know I did it. And in the process of doing that, I let myself down as a father. I let myself down for employment. I didn't feel like I was a good employee. I mean, working 23-hour days, I really was just kind of phoning it in. There was no excellence in anything that I was pursuing. But by forcing and willing myself to do this, I put myself in a position to where I became totally numb to everything. The opposite of love is apathy. And sometimes we forget that. We operate ourselves in a position to where we think we love something so much, and we drive ourselves to such a position that the thing that we love is actually the thing killing us, and it's the thing taking from us the most. And now we don't care The thing we used to put so much effort and diligence into the little details, we just stopped caring about. Well, let's talk about that in getting to zero. If you emotionally can't deal with anything and you're willing yourself to do stuff in your life, now all of these emotions are at a net negative and they're taking from you and you don't even know they're taking from you. And the things that you love, now you stop loving. The food that you used to eat, you don't care about the flavor anymore. Drinks that you used to drink, you don't even care. Friends and relationships you used to have, you don't care about those anymore because you're so focused on getting in that. And I've seen this happen with people in education. They're like, I'm going to get my degree and I don't care. I'm going to graduate top of my class. I'm going to do this. And in the process, they sacrifice relationships and their own emotions just to pursue through this point. But then when they finally have it, they don't know what to do with it. And they have this whole paralysis that happens in their life now because they've willed themselves to get to such a point that they fragmented themselves off and they can't now get back together. And you can get out of this, though. So I'm here to tell you some very powerful things you can absolutely get out of this. The first thing you got to do is you got to forgive yourself. You didn't know. You didn't know how far the rabbit hole was going to go when you jumped into it. You didn't know when you pulled that thread that it was going to unravel a lot of other stuff. And so how you go about this is going to be very important. You're going to sit there and you need to start asking, why do I hate this now? Why do I hate the thing that I loved? And you're going to find out that there was a moment you broke your own trust, your own rules, your unspoken rules that we all have. You broke them. And you're going to have to go, wow. And you're going to have to forgive yourself and let yourself go and go, hey, it's not okay. It's not okay that this happened. I betrayed my own trust. I betrayed my own trust in trying to do the movie. And other people betrayed my trust to a degree as well by saying they were going to do it and not following through with it. But then feeling like I had to because I was going to let somebody down became a poison. And then I didn't volunteer for anything for a while because I knew if I did, it would just poison me even more. And so maybe you're in a spot where you're overwhelmed because you have too much on your plate and you're going, well, I can do something else. And maybe it's because of a moral compass. Maybe, who else is going to take care of that family member that you have to take care of? But in the process, you're losing your life. Who else is going to take care of that homeless person and feed them? But in the process, you're neglecting yourself. The Bible says very clearly, love others as much as you love yourself. And so what happens is we betray ourselves. We betray our own emotions because we have the will to do it. You can only will yourself to do something that you hate for so long. And when hate becomes your master, it poisons everything else that's around you. So to get out of that, you have to look at your life and go, why did I let hate be there? And sometimes it's not even hate. Sometimes it's apathy. Sometimes you just don't care. Something that you used to love, it now is just hate. It's just, you don't care about it anymore. So look at those things. Ask yourself the questions. Take a moment and silence yourself. Take a deep breath and go, why don't I like this anymore? And what I imagine is going to happen, what has happened in my own life, is you're going to get a memory that's going to show up of you watching that movie with somebody and emotionally you were betrayed in some way. Forgive the person, forgive yourself, forgive the situation that happened. Forgiveness is not letting the other person off the hook. Forgiveness is releasing yourself from your own judgment and releasing the judgment so that you can actually operate. That doesn't mean that you're going to live without justice because that person's either going to be in your life or not be in your life based off of what you decide. But what you need to do is assess those things so that they don't take from you anymore. So hopefully you got something out of it. On the next episode, we're going to be talking about your spirit. And it's very fascinating how your spirit can interact with everything else.